Hello, it's Marjorie Turner Hollman, and we're at Choate Park in Medway today. We're going to enjoy Choate Pond, which is part of Chicken Brook, and it turns into the Charles River not far from here. So we're all part of the Charles River floodplain, and we're also going to follow a trail that goes over to the back of Medway High School. Beyond that, on up into Holliston eventually with trail planning. We won't walk that far, but we'll give you an idea where it is and how we got there. Oh, I forgot to say we got Steve Sherlock back with us today at his first time being at Choate Park. So this is a new experience for him as well. So welcome, what a beautiful day.
Yeah, it's a good day. A little on the cool side and breezy side, but you know, any day is a good day to walk.
We're filming in December, so what are you gonna do?
This is true.
All right, I'm gonna look right here at Chicken Brook flowing out of Choate Pond, and it's headed right for the Charles River. Oh boy. Yeah, it's really flowing today. So this, I believe, is the swimming pond in Medway. It has some issues with bacteria counts sometimes in the summer, but this is where they do swimming lessons and other stuff in Medway. And up on this hill over here is the Thayer House, a historical house in Medway, and the town has revamped it recently and made it into a meeting space. It's a really, really nice spot with gorgeous views of the pond. And they did a major revamp of this whole area. They did a pavilion, created a pavilion, redid the playground. We didn't stop and see the little Choate, the turtle, but that's been a classic addition to the park for years.
Yeah, definitely looks new and updated for sure.
It is very updated and very new. I like that it's part of the Charles River, Chicken Brook.
So it's interesting, especially in New England, the names of the different brooks and towns.
And I don't know the history of the name of it at all.
There's got to be a story there for sure.
I'm sure there is, but I believe it's lost in time, and I might be wrong. Yeah. I'd love to hear what the story was.
If it's lost in time, it gives an opportunity for families to make up names and stories to tell their kids and
That's right.
start a new tradition of sorts.
That's right. Why did the chicken cross the brook?
That's where this story starts.
Ah.
Nice stone dust past.
It's a lot of people run here. Lots and lots of people walk here. I'm a little surprised at the sunny day that there's not as any more people than there are. I think the cross-country team for the high school uses this trail. You'll see the little orange spray paint that's always indicative of runners there. They mark routes and rocks, which is kind of nice for people like me. There's a trail that goes all the way around. You can see people walking on the hill up there.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is, it's a bit of a slope, but it is a loop that you can do all the way around the pond that's stroller friendly.
Stroller friendly, wheelchair friendly, accessible friendly, which is one of your key pieces.
It's kind of steep for handicapped accessible. Oh, here's some ducks. They are not nearly as shy. Yep, they're much more friendly looking. Nope, not that friendly. All right.
They want their quiet.
We'll let them go. No, there's a bunch of open space in Medway that they hope to connect with this trail north of here up to the Upper Charles Trail in Holliston.
Okay, part of the growing rail trail network, like
it is.
Yeah.
Winnickening Woods that you probably see if you go on the Holliston Upper Charles Trail. the rail trail goes right alongside it, so there's entrances to the trail from there. But from this end, it's kind of due north, straight from here.
It's also an exercise workstation.
There are.
So this is a balance beam at this station. And
Yeah.
then apparently it's telling us that we need to sprint to station 6. Except I don't know which one is which.
I don't know either.
So I'd hesitate to sprint without knowing where I was going to sprint to.
I'm gonna walk. And then the trail that we're going to is that blue sign right over there. A lot of people don't have any idea that the trail is right there.
Off the beaten path, so to speak.
It is off the beaten path of sorts. I think the high school students know it because it's a shortcut for them to walk back this direction.
Reason to use it for sure. Yep.
Yeah, and it's bikeable. I'm not sure how many people ride their bikes there, but I'm sure students do.
Fishing seems to be popular here. There's a lot of little floats where
Sad-
fishermen have lost their lines,
sadly,
getting caught up.
sadly, yes. All right, so here you can see all of the work they did on the building, and the playground is an extensive renovation now. They've done a really nice job of it. This bridge is pretty old. I'm not sure the age of it. Oh, what a gorgeous day. And then back on this side, this is Chicken Brook feeding into Choate Pond. And there's just all sorts of wetlands that come along Winthrop Street and 126 that you see, and they're all feeding in through here. And then right across the street is 109, and the Charles is just on the other side of there. In fact, there's an old mill building that's now businesses, and the Charles runs right through there. It's kind of cool. But this is Chicken Brook. You want to go see what the trail is like? You see how steep that is. It's actually relatively. I mean, somebody with a stroller could do that.
Right.
A wheelchair, that's not going to be a real comfortable
No.
ride, even with help. That's a tougher row to hoe. All right. And the conservation folks here in Medway have done a great job of marking their trails with these blue signs. There's a number of small trails throughout Medway that have these blue signs for you to look for. This just calls it the High School Trail. All right.
Open space.
Open space? Yes. Yeah, they have a great open space committee. There's just an access from the Thayer houses right there. So, no, they have weddings. You know, it's a gorgeous place to have good weather events. So, and then there's some stone walls along here. You just...
It's kind of like anytime you go into the woods in New England, if you don't find a stone wall, it's like, where are they? They got to be around somewhere.
I know. The absence of stone walls is always kind of interesting. We were in some place recently, so now that's going to be a people trail.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't go anywhere. I'm not even sure why it still is marked down as it is. You know, it's tramped down as it is. But
From a design perspective, they call those desire lines.
Is that right?
Well, and there was some study, some group, they made a common, and they were debating as to where they were going to put the sidewalks and crosswalks and stuff, so they just left it open, let the people walk, found out where the paths were going to be, and then put the paving.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep. That was perfect.
Yeah, we were just at some place in Rhode Island, and there were no stone walls, and I think we figured out that it was so rocky that right there there was no agriculture going on. It was
just grazing land and not gross land.
Yeah, you see a lot of walls on the edge of wetlands.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was, we figure, to keep the animals from foundering in the wetlands. Here we get 2 stone walls.
Yes.
Here.
Adjoining of fields or property lines.
Well, see, now there's a few more stones here. That first, back there was only a single stone on top of not even on top of each other. So these are giving you a little more hint. They would have still been a lot taller. And now here, you got a convergence of a wall, another wall going that way, another one here. This may have been kind of a historical road. I look for walls on both sides of a path, and that tells me that the walls were marking a cart path.
It was done over the seasons, over the years. They weren't built all at once.
It was winter work for farmers because there wasn't a lot else to do in the winter, and they had what they call stone boats. And the stone boats are like sleds.
Yeah, flat-bottom sleds.
Which would go over the ice and the snow. And once the ground softened up, you didn't want to be hauling rocks over soft ground. Plus, you also had all your farming to do. So it was slack time work that the farmers could do, and with skilled labor.
A couple of years ago, I think at the Historical Museum in Franklin, wall historian had come in and given a talk on the history of the walls and how they were done. And
nice.
It was interesting because we always see the stone portion of what's left, because obviously that's the heaviest piece, the most sturdy.
Right.
But in many cases, there was also fences on top of the walls.
Exactly. They're wooden.
And of course, the wood over time has deteriorated, been salvaged for other purposes.
Yep.
And taxing was done on the height of the wall, which was interesting too.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, this is a really pretty solid path. Gets to be a little mucky and icy in the winter. I tried to come here some time ago with a friend in, say, January, and we finally had to turn around, or it was just, there was a low spot. All right. I really like this path, that it's not just a straight line. It's got a lot of turns. Yeah, just makes it more interesting. Yeah, this is going to be a several-mile trail link up to Holliston. Because you think we were just at 109, and it's getting you all the way up to close to where 16 goes by.
Oh,
where 126 meets up with Route 16.
Yeah, that's a bit.
Up in Holliston. Yeah, that's several miles. They're working on it. It's getting there. This is part of it. It keeps going back and forth. It's not a straight line. This really adds to the interest. You're not.
So this is an old natural trail as opposed to a rail trail. It was clearly cut with a single purpose of delivering a rail.
Right. We're not train tracks.
No.
Yeah, it just adds some extra interest. It also reduces erosion when it goes back and forth like this, so the water doesn't go straight downhill.
I was amazed by the variety of the deciduous trees as well. It's one of the things that at some point in time, I know I've got friends that can look at a tree and say they know the name of it, and it's like, I don't know which one it is. But
necrobotany.
Having, a trunk and then splitting, and what caused the split, or you've got a cluster of trunks together, and how is that natural or whatever? It's just
no. That's going to be the white pine. There's a pine bud that kills the bud of the growing little, I don't know the technical name of it, and kills the bud, so then the tree naturally
splits and goes.
And keeps growing.
Yep.
But it weakens it eventually. That's a weak spot in the tree, and it will split, and you'll have not much of a tree. So yeah, it makes the tree more vulnerable, and it also makes it much less valuable for
from a
lumber.
logging perspective, yeah.
Right.
But then from an artistic perspective, you get all these angles and shadows and curves.
That's where you get your Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
Yes, the little ones.
That's what we did with my family for years. We'd go back in the sand pits behind our house, and we would cut a white pine like this and bring it back. It's the hardest thing to make stand up in your Christmas tree stand because they're so skinny.
You need almost a special stand just made for them.
I know, and you could put about 5 ornaments on it, but that's what we did. There's just something about moving the water that's I don't get tired of seeing and hearing.
The calmness of the moving water. It's somewhat of a contradictory piece, but it's so pleasant.
Oh, it's very soothing, and it's just, I love it. This was all really quite cultivated for them to have made this much of an investment in building all these walls. It's hard to imagine none of these trees were here. It was all either cultivated fields or pastures that were open grassland for sheep or cows to feed on, and it just the landscape was had such a total different appearance, all open. None of these trees, almost all the woodland was gone. It's about 1/2 mile over to the high school. I don't think it's much farther than that. And this fork up here, I'm pretty sure the left fork takes you over to parking, and the right fork takes you to the back side of the high school. Let's see what there's a sign here.
It's Adams Street Meadow.
Oh yeah, yep. Okay.
Yeah. Baseball field one way.
Yep.
Back to the park.
Yes.
To the meadow.
That's helpful. Yeah. This will take you down to the meadow.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Which would seem to be the open space. You can see the trees kind of disappear, and you see more of the sky there.
Let's just go down and see what we see there, and then we'll need to turn around. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Medway has a trails club as well, and they've been very, very active in getting these trails worked on.
This has been worked. You can see some of the black plastic edging where the stone
but you just see
was laid.
See how it twists and turns? This is very deliberate design, which actually makes it a more resilient trail with the ups and downs, because this is not a flat trail. That's what's really cool about getting outside at this time of year is all the leaves are gone, so you can actually see the lay of the land that you can't otherwise see, that all of the landforms are there, but you can't see them when there's so many leaves. Now with the leaves down, you see all sorts of things. It's really cool. All right, we're right at the back of Medway High School's athletic fields here.
Even the wisps have cleared away.
They have. It's beautiful. These fields would be getting heavy use right now, and we're not in a typical time.
Oh, there may be, actually, no, pretty much, because all the football would have been done, and the soccer and cross country would have been done as we're in December.
Yeah, okay, we got another wall down there. That's about 3 stones high. I'm looking past these big mango rocks to, that was the historical wall just beyond there. And then just see what's here. At this point, I'm pretty familiar with these trails, but I can still be surprised because people are still doing work on them. They're still improving them. And you never know.
Yeah, as you've seen, even the same trail every day for a year will change because of the weather, because of the time of the season.
Exactly.
And then if you just take the trail reversed, it's a whole new trail.
That's right. That's what I like about walking back the same way that we came. All right, so they're calling this open space, and they're saying that's the way to the meadow. Yeah, there's beyond where that field is, the Medway Trails Club has built a boardwalk across Chicken Brook, again, that we see at Choate Park.
So it just continues to navigate through the woods.
It's a big wetlands north of Adams Street. And so they've built a boardwalk to get hikers over that wetlands. And it's a cool, just kind of out in the woods, all of a sudden here's this boardwalk, but it's part of the trail system they're building to get up to Winnakeene Woods to connect to Holliston. Very cool.
If you hadn't seen it, I had a wonderful discussion with Alan Earls, Dave Labonte, Mark Kaplan, and Rep Roy.
Oh yes, yes, about the tunnel.
About the timeline of the development in the tunnel.
I didn't listen to all of it. I think I read what you wrote, and I shared it widely on my channels. When the leaf blowers aren't blowing, it's actually a very peaceful place. It really is. You can see these walls. It's just nice. I always find myself imagining the people building them, and especially when it's places that are kind of wet, and it may be that the water has shifted, but otherwise I think about how not so nice that was to sometimes have to build these things, and just the brute work that was involved. You know, all the different, this looks almost like what they call a rubble wall. You see the little tiny rocks and then the bigger ones, because a lot of times they would just throw all those loose rocks that were in the field off to the side, so you're not having to plow them all the time and get them out of the field. And that really is a very likely, this was a cultivated field right here. I don't know why that specific wall was right there, but what a lot of work. Yeah. And most people go right by them and don't, especially if you grew up in New England, you don't really think much about it, but they're a testament to a lot of work, a lot of hard work. Yeah. The winged euonymus. It's got kind of triangular, weird stems. You can actually recognize these. See the sort of off-white off. It's like every other one. If you can kind of see, it's a segmented. I don't really quite know how to describe it, but it's pretty distinctive. These are very very invasive. They still have real pretty foliage, but they are invasive, and they'll take over all of the understory if they're not prevented. Sometimes they do. All this vine, that's all going to be bittersweet. Bittersweet and blackberries. I'm seeing blackberry canes as well. All right, and blackberry canes can get pretty invasive as well. Poison ivy, oh, look at this healthy poison ivy root. I'm not going to touch it. Vining all the way up there. That is a very, very healthy, well, not terribly healthy, but it's still growing. Yeah, that's really, oh, that's because it tore all of the bark off of this dead tree. That's why it looks like the vine is fine. That vine is growing just fine. Another wall heading off into the woods. I'm looking at a wolf tree down next to that wall. See this great big tree right next to it? All the rest of the trees are much, much thinner, and that one tree is really big, so it was probably left there to grow, and you would have done that for giving your animals some shade and just to have something there because everything else was cut. But that's a big tree. I don't think it's a well publicized trail. People know Choate Park, but a lot of people don't realize there's this trail system over here. Water views and woodland. That's nice. And this is what it's going to look like till spring, except if there's snow, and add a little ice sometimes. Well, we've been at Choate Park on the Choate Park Trail up to the Medway High School today with Medway Open Space. And this is Finding Easy Walks wherever you are. I'm Marjorie Turner Hollman. Thanks so much for joining us. We're watching Chicken Brook flowing past us now, headed to the Charles River and out to sea. Happy trails. See you next time.